Hello and welcome to Firecracker Week for 2025. This is obviously a very exciting time here on the channel. It's the week of the summer, or I guess week and a few days, leading up to the summer's biggest race itself on the 4th of July, the one and only Firecracker 400. But of course, like with every big event, NASCAR, you need some practice. So we're going to have two practice sessions here at the World Center of Racing, starting with tonight's nighttime practice session. Usually it's the day, usually like last year at least, it was the daytime session, then the night session first, but due to me going to the Atlanta race this upcoming weekend, I'm going to leave for the hotel I booked near the track tomorrow. I'm going to do the night session first, and then I'll do another another practice tomorrow, just before I leave and all that stuff. So, without further ado, let's get this underway. So first, of course, we got the guidelines here. So, of course, this is under nighttime conditions. This will be a 35-minute long session as opposed to last year's 25 minutes, and it's going to be kind of lengthy to say the least, for sure, because on Atlanta SMD, he seemingly took forever. But anyways, of course, Daytona, 2.5 mile long tri-oval super speedway with 31 degrees of banking in the turns. And as for the weather here tonight in Daytona Beach, Florida, it's a clear 74 degrees Fahrenheit with non-upwind towards the southeast. And of course, it's kind of a reminder of what Firecracker Week is going to be this year. It's, of course, a bit more condensed because of the Atlanta stuff going on. So, of course, tonight is this practice session. Tomorrow will be the day practice session. We're going to have we're going to go a little bit of a hiatus on Firecracker Week because we have nothing in between because I'll be at the race. For Monday, but we'll pick back up on Monday with the live streamed WeatherTech duels. This will be live stream as opposed to being pre-recorded because I just don't have time to make them. But the final two tanks to close off Firecracker Week will be pre-recorded. So the day after the duels will be the Fast 6 qualifying, where the top 3 finishers from each duel race will contend for the Firecracker 400 pole and set the first 3 rows. And of course, on July 4th is the 2025 edition and our 6th edition of the summer's biggest race. That, of course, being the Firecracker 400. But enough of me yapping. It's time to officially get things started at the World Center of Racing at the Daytona International Speedway. As NR is going to crash immediately. Okay. I had it pulled up. I was testing before I went live to make sure, okay, can the game not crash? It's going to crash. Of course it does. I hate how sensitive this stuff is. Okay, let me just update me to do that. Right, put that in. Okay, just do this and do another thing too, because I don't want to accidentally spoil parts of Firecracker Week, because that'd not be good. That would not be good. So I'm just move this here real quick so I won't get nothing gets spoiled. All right, that's stupid how that always happens with NR, especially at the super speedway seemingly. All right. Display. Okay, draw my wallpaper. Load. Okay, thank you. Alright, we're officially underway at the World Center of Racing of this 35-minute practice session. And I do have all the patriotics. I barely got them done, as well as the schemes with the patriotic banners. Yeah, took quite a bit of toll on me to get all these finished in time. Glad I'm not paying this many paint schemes again. Also a late stream as well, 10:30 p.m. It's currently 10:35 p.m. here in the East Coast, United States. That's not stopping us from doing practice. You can see Riley Spurly now up front. Now coming out of the track, I should say. Let me pull up another screen on my tablet just to see the point standings, because I'm probably mentioning the point standings a lot, like I always do when I record or stream. Here, when I do these NR stuff. Okay. See if I can do the side by side. No, can I do side by side YouTube in this? Yes, I can. Awesome. So we'll see some other cars on the track. That's Nick Sand, the 2023 Firecracker 400 winners. Also going to be the first time we're going to have multiple former Firecracker winners to attempt to win the race again. Of course, Nick Sant being one of them. The other is defending series champion and reigning Firecracker winner from last year, Jordan Forbes. as you see more cars coming out on the racetrack. Hopefully hopefully the game's, I don't know, hopefully I have all the sounds okay, because, you know, if you watch any, if you watch any of my streams, if I even toy with the sound, that crap is going to crash the stream immediately. I'm just lower my volume there because I'm wearing headphones. So Riley Spurly on board. Of course, last year's runner-up and Rookie of the Year winner. Came into this race 18th in the standings. Not particularly horrible spot in points, but not particularly the best either. See more drivers coming out here. That's Brian Rodriguez. That's the 63 of Alexander Rowe. Lipsy with the MLB Speedway Classics game. I was an MLB All-Star, but it's based off the 01 MLB All-Stars game that I think we all know and love. Campbell Marsh nearly coming up in front of Baby Ruiz. Those two nearly made contact. Of course, Baby Ruiz is our most recent Super Speedway winner here in the Palm Summer League. Of course, winning the Pepsi Summer Kickoff at Armory Digital last month. Here's Jack Cross in the 75 in his second Firecracker 400 start. I hope the stream actually saves this time, unlike with the Phoenix stream, because that was a bizarre thing. And as for Lipsy, first time he's had a new Firecracker scheme since 2021. And suffice to say, unfortunately, Lipsy has not had the best luck here in the summer's biggest race. He's been involved. I'm pretty sure he's been involved in a crash every single edition, almost pretty much every single edition we've had here on the channel. So hopefully, Lady Luck can actually. So we'll see if Lady Luck can actually rule in favor of the 9 team. Campbell Marsh, one of our rookies. Of course, Marsh rocking the DHL number 10. Which of course won the Indianapolis 500, another big race. Can this win the Firecracker? And there is our last year's winner, Jordan Forbes, winning the summer, who of course won the summer's biggest race last year in dramatic fashion, being out Random J by just 1/1000th of a second, which is the closest in channel history. Was capped off possibly one of the greatest races on this channel, to be honest, because that was a pretty exciting Firecracker last year for sure. Hopefully this year's will live up to it as well. Here's Jason Albert, who's a driver who's been in every single Firecracker since we started running this race in 2020 back in the old Golf Summer Series. Of course, Albert did finally get his first win earlier this year in the old, in the final winter race on the channel, that being, of course, the Massachusetts Classic. Trying to get his first summer win as well. You see Caleb Rose side by side with Matthew Burnett in the 03. Of course, Rose won our second race of the season here in the PSL in Japan for the UPS Summer Special. Trying to get his, but even though Minnesota and Rose are coming off a DNF at Minnesota, despite winning there in the past and being a favorite to win. You know, Matt Burnett is native of Florida. Therefore, be bidding for the Floridian to win here in Daytona. There's Matthew Hubert making his first Firecracker 400 start. And next to him is currently the fastest driver right now. That being, well, was next to him. Currently the fastest driver as of right now. The 46 of Johnny Hernandez. And of course, this is the narrative. Pretty much talk about every single year. Hernandez Racing has won pretty much every big race there is to win on the channel. They've won all 4 former Crown Jewels in the old Golf Summer Series. They've won a Golf Summer Series championship. And in fact, John even won last year's milestone 100th race on the channel. But the one thing they're missing is the summer's biggest race. And every single year, the Hernandez drivers, I'm sure, have this race especially circled on their calendar. Now, this potentially being the final Firecracker 400 on the channel. This is it's now or never for that team to win the summer's biggest race. Some other drivers I didn't mention is the Oled of Alex Mullen. He's currently 5th fastest on the board right now. Alex Sanfatali, the other Alex Sanfatali, is 14th fastest. Got some more another mini pack here. That's Nathan Stapleton in the 97, who has a reputation to say the least at this race. Of course, caused the 2023 big one and went 4 wide multiple times during an earlier portion of last year's Firecracker 400. So I'm not sure if Staples will be as aggressive this time around, but we'll see. We'll see. There's the 81 of Outfellow Dodge, the 81 of... actually, all these are Dodges except for Matthew Hill. But Al Bunch in his first Firecracker start. Such trying his second Firecracker start. While Matthew Hill in that really cool-looking U.S. Navy car. It's under native of Florida. Looking to win one in front of the hometown crowd. Madison Chase in her second Firecracker for you, I stand corrected. In that Napa 06, Owen Miles right behind her. There's another driver who's competed in every Firecracker with the exception of last year's. Rosangela Gutierrez, a former Super Speedway. Him and Miles actually are both former Super Speedway winners here on the channel. Of course, Gutierrez won last year's Summer Kickoff in Tennessee, while Miles won the 2022 Golf Summer Series race at Orlando. See Patrick Miller come down pit road into 62. I'm going to try to highlight some of these schemes. Of course, if I didn't render your scheme in the chat, I will do the on-track shots, hopefully by tomorrow afternoon. There's Jaxon Bergem. Very unique looking 84 car this week. I always love seeing the creativity of some of our painters this year. See Mullins come back on the track as well as Dylan Matthews. Jordan Stout looking to the inside of the 84. Colin Cropley in his first Firecracker attempt. The Raising Cane's car. Whoa, that was kind of a scary place to merge back onto the track for both Matthews and Mullen. May not be able to tell, but that's Keyshawn Richardson in his special scheme this week. The Firecracker week. 5 Energy of the Stars. And next to him is Benny Watson of the 79, who of course is the driver who's come up so close. Somebody who's come up close twice during the last 2 races. Of course, was leading in Japan, coming to the white flag before Caleb Rose got around him, and was leading with only a handful, 2 laps ago, at a last race at Minnesota before the eventual winner, Haley Anderson Jr. got around him. Speaking of Minnesota is Brad Ream, who of course won the pole for that race, and was very confident in his pre-race interview, but still didn't amount to a good finish, and Ream still comes into this race last in the point standings with just 26 points to his name. The next closest driver to him in points is 01 and Daniel Voiles with 36 points. There's his teammate Brendan Beal, the 2023 Palm Summer League champion, looking for his first. Despite winning that championship, he has actually yet to win a PSL race. So, and Beal joined Jordan Flores as the only driver to win both a championship and contact from the 2 Railfan drivers there. But as I was saying, if Beal wins on this year's edition, he'll join Jordan Flores as the only 2 drivers to win the championship and the summer's biggest race. More drivers here. We're talking about Matthews a little bit, Lipsy as well. Spurly side by side with a winner from a last race at Minnesota, Haley Anderson, the 7, in the Talladega Nights inspired Old Spice car. Goes based off Kyle Martin Jr. Fortunately, there's no Ricky Bobby Rondo car to go with it, so I don't know who's gonna perform. I don't know who he's gonna shake and bake with, but he has 3 other drivers in his with the Anderson Jr. team. Anderson Jr. Enterprises team has 3 other teammates in their name. Of course, one of them being the defending Firecracker champion and series champion Jordan Forbes, Kyle Sustride, and Madison Chase. Roberto Crown, who was out front late during last year's Firecracker for Random and Forbes, had the incredible finish to the line. Brian Rodriguez, if you're in Joe Rutt's Stillwalt Cup Series, if you remember, he won their Daytona race to kick off that season. So Rodriguez definitely has experience of winning at Daytona. Can he possibly do it again here in the Palm Summer League with the summer's biggest race? Already mentioned Nick Sant. There's Joe T in the 17, comes into this race 7th in the point standing. So far, and Joe T's the only, and so far Joe T has led the most laps for 2 out of the first 3 races. He led the most laps out of our season opener at Armory Digital, as well as our last race at Minnesota. But despite that, has yet to win a race this season. So and I think Joe T has led the most laps this year. Yeah, Joe T's led the most laps out of anyone this year, combined for all our races. He's led 16 laps so far this year. So clearly the speed is there for that single car 17 team, but the finishes, while still decent, haven't lived up to the performance. And look at this pack here. Forbes 3 wide with Johnny Hernandez, Alexander Rowe in the 63. Matthew Burnett, who's not the fastest driver right now on the board. So I'm going to see how big or small these packs are. So it's going to be interesting how these packs will scale in size. There's one of the drivers I still haven't mentioned. I haven't seen... There's some drivers I haven't seen on track, but we'll get to them, I guess. Anthony Hernandez. I mentioned the Hernandez Racing story earlier of how they have yet to win the Firecracker 400, and Anthony's been a huge part of that success. He's won all the crown jewels, won that championship in the Golf Summer Series. Well, of course, Johnny won the Bristol Night Race twice, and last year's 100th Channel Race. But him and Johnny share one thing. Like I said, him and Johnny, like I've elaborated, him and Johnny share one thing in common here at Firecracker League is to finally win. There's the 41 of Philip Torres, who of course went up and over in his Superman car last year, in last year's Firecracker. This time he's in the Bud Light, number 41. Next to him is Daniel Voiles in the 01. In his Mike and Ike's Patriotic. Here's another pack here. I mentioned Bergem a little bit earlier. Ryan Wilson in the 48, the two-time channel champion. Brendan Beal I mentioned a little bit too. I mentioned most of these drivers. Here's these Trooper driver. Well, these three I've mentioned except for Random J in his unique Jurassic World paint scheme to promote the new movie coming out. He of course was the other driver, a part of that fantastic finish during last year's race, looking for redemption and potentially his final Firecracker 400 start. So I think I covered pretty much all the drivers. I might be missing a few. Let's go do a quick rundown. I'll probably sound like I'd be at for too long, but I just want to get everyone. Mention everyone's name because everyone has their own story here in this race. Whoa, Al Bunch, please speed up. Whoa, watch out. Okay, that was close. That was very close. That was very close for Al Bunch. Let's go on board with somebody. Go find a big pack here. Let's go on board with... Oh. Watch out! Oh, wreck! We got a wreck! Alexander Rowe, Savatoli, Jordan Forbes. Oh my goodness. Caleb Rose has damage. Johnny Hernandez as well. Many big name drivers here. And you would hate to... And wow, just to kick off Firecracker Week. Yeah, that is not a good way to kick this off at all. Wrecking your car during the first practice session. Unbelievable. And the question is... will these guys have to go to a backup? Oh man, that is something else. Oh my god. So you can see the damage on the Alexander Rose car. We saw Jordan Forbes, last year's winner, also with damage. If I can cut to him. Oh my, let's go to the let's just cut to the replay. Oh my god, that caught me off guard, honestly. Wow. Unbelievable. To kick off Firecracker League, we already have a wreck. Whoa. Oh, okay. So these guys are just racing 3 wide here in this... not even that big of a pack. They're actually not even 3 wide here. But looks like Forbes came down into 46. Did Burnett get into the... Johnny? I'm not sure. But then both Forbes and Johnny came back onto the track in front of everybody else, which that was the wrong decision to do. My goodness. Wow. Look at that in slow motion. Oh my god. And again, the question is, will these guys have to go to a backup or can they possibly repair their cars? Because, ooh, man, that is something else. So take a look at the replay here. It's closely. This is gonna probably make this stream even longer. I'll be surprised if I don't. It's probably not going to like 11:30 now to end this stream at least. Anyways, so I think. Let me see. No, I don't think Burnett even touched Johnny. It was just Forbes that just came down on Johnny into turn number 3 and just did not get off of him. The two of them go to the grass, and then they come back onto the track right in front of Alexander Rowe and Sam Vitali. Both found out because we know where to go. And Caleb Rose as well by proxy. Probably got the worst of that exchange. Look at his hood all buckled up. Man, oh man. I'm going to go on board for a few drivers, of course, but not a good way to kick off Firecracker Week at all for these drivers. We've never had a wreck during like practice, ever. But we've had blown engines before, but not full-on wrecks. Just, wow. Wow, wow, wow. Let's go on board with Forbes. Wow. Even the best make mistakes, and your defending series champion Firecracker winner is not immune to that. Well, let's go on board with Matthew Burnett. I want to see, it's probably going to give us the best angle of this wreck. Notice he avoided it too, so kudos to the 03. Yeah. Ooh. Yeah, no. Look at that one more time in slow motion. I get back to the live stuff. So, let's look at this again. Whoa. Anyways. Yeah, Forbes and Johnny essentially ran each other out of room right here. Make it a little faster. A little too fast. Okay, here we go. Yeah, Forbes and Johnny ran each other out of room, and eventually Forbes came down on Johnny, sending both drivers out of the racetrack down the apron, and then into turn number 3 here to come back onto the racetrack. That was not a good decision at all. Nowhere for Alexander Rowe or Alexander Vitali to go. Let's see what happened to let's look at the cable row. One more on board angle, and we're back to the live stuff. All right, one more angle this time of Caleb Rose. Yeah, nothing he could do. Absolutely nothing he could have done. Yeesh. Not a good way to kick off Firecracker Week whatsoever. So these guys will have to go to their backups, at least for this practice session. We're going to see if they can pop. So these guys have to go to their backups already. Forbes and Rose, yeah, they're going to backups for sure. Alexander Rowe, yeah, look at this ruin there. It's completely demolished. Alexander Vitali, I don't think his damage is that bad. A little bit squared off, but I don't think it's too bad. Johnny Hernandez also with damage in his rear end. I think some of these are... Oh, there's also damage to your side. I think some of those cars are fixable in my eyes, but not for Caleb Rose or... Not Caleb Rose and Forbes. I think they're going to backups for sure. So that's definitely going to be reflective in this Firecracker in the Firecracker 400 lineup. For sure. Yikes, yikes, yikes. Anyways, Bradley Ream right now is the fastest driver on the board. Despite all that chaos, Ream is the fastest. Keyshawn Richardson the second fastest, alongside Matthew Burnett, Jordan Stout, and Brendan Beal. So several big name drivers making up the fastest times as of right now. And like I kind of mentioned GOT a little bit earlier how they were winning the most laps for 2 out of the 3 races so far this summer. But it's just not been able. It wasn't good enough to win. In the case of Bradley's one of the best qualifiers so far this season. He started throughout the first 2 races this year. He started second, and first. He won the pole during the last race in Minnesota. I mentioned that a little earlier. But, like I mentioned to you earlier, he is currently dead last in points. With only 26 points to his name. That team is just, they've had plenty of speed to show, they've had speed. The 6 team has had speed for qualifying and everything. But just nothing seemingly goes right for them during the race. An Armory Digital involved in a lone caution for that race at Japan in Motegi. Whoa, bro, watch out. Watch out! You just destroyed your other car, man. Don't destroy this one. Good grief. Anyways, but Reem was trapped 2 laps down after that untimely after caution in Motegi, and fell back and was trapped on the outside for virtually most of our green flag run at Minnesota. So it's just nothing seemingly can go right for Bradley in that 16. Jeez, Alexander, bro, jeez, you just destroyed your other car. Are you gonna be? Yeah, that's something else. Oh my god. Anyways. We got 3x3 action here led by Jack Cost in the 75. Better real quick to sort that out, but I'd imagine, too, after seeing that wreck, these drivers are going to be a bit more cautious, but at the same time, I think, in my opinion, this is probably the most important practice session of our 2 we have, because, of course, the Firecracker 400 will be run under the lights on the 4th of July. And, this is going to, of course, provide the best, and, of course, the duels are... The duels are going to be in a larger pack, but that's going to be under daylight conditions. It's just not going to be reflective of what the Firecracker 400 will actually be ran under. The conditions the 400 will be ran under with. And it's going to probably provide the best, and especially if you're in one of these packs, it's going to provide a good idea of who's going to be the best drivers to work with. And if you look at Bradley's time right now, he's actually the only driver putting up a 46 in the 46-second column. You see Forbes now back on the track with his backup car. But Bradley's the only driver to put up 46 times above 40 in the 46-second column. You know, and if you look, so while Nick Stan's the only driver below up, I don't know how to say that, he puts up a time in the 47-second column. But Bradley Ream, definitely, with how fast that car is, he's definitely one to watch out for in my eyes. For not only the race, whoa, Keyshawn Richardson nearly got into Ryan and Bradley there, but Bradley's definitely a driver to watch out for not only our other race, both the duels and the Firecracker 400, but he could potentially be a contender to start up front once again. I mean, like I said, that 6 team has done a really, really good job of starting up front for these races, but just have not been able to put that result, but just luck has not been on their side at all this summer. And if I were Bradley, I'd be really careful, you know, riding around this pack, considering what happened to Jordan Forbes, Johnny Hernandez, and others. Let's take a look at some drivers lower in the speed ranks. Starting with Nick Sand at 20, the 2020 of course, who won this race in 2023. I don't think he's on track. Oh, he is on track, okay. But Nick Sand's currently the slowest right now of a time of 47.893. I think simply because he's probably ran just by himself for the most part, which, after what happened earlier, I don't necessarily blame him. Well, as soon as I say that, Spurly's now scored as having the slowest time. He's rated for pack, I think, but right now he's running all by himself. The 94 of, oh, got another spin. I think that's Bibi Ruiz in the 57 that spun out off turn number 2 there. Very chaotic opening practice for sure. Good grief. Let's look at this. Oh yeah. So Jack Haas was pushing the 57 of Rourettes. Oh, Al Bunch merges up on the track. Haas tries to avoid, but instead spins out Rourettes. Thankfully, not much. I don't think it's too much damage on either driver's car. That could have been a lot worse. The drivers could have. That's the second time Bunch has done that tonight, merging possibly the worst possible place on track, almost like Kevin LePage. Sorry, I'll Bunch to compare you to that if you're watching to compare to Kevin LePage, but very dangerous spot to merge on the track for sure. But thankfully, that could have been much worse. Could have caused that entire pack to wreck. Eesh. Anyways, speaking of packs, yeah, here's one here. Hopefully no one's coming onto the track for sure. But actually, okay, I was mentioning some of the drivers slow on the board here. Riley Spurly, Owen Mile, sorry, Gutierrez, and then Owen Miles. Kind of surprising Gutierrez is a little bit surprising. Gutierrez is kind of back here, but he's currently by himself on the track. Might be one reason why. But Gutierrez, remember during our preseason Thunder session at Talladega, he was the fastest on the board for that. And he showed a lot of speed during our first race at Armory Digital, but finished below the top 20, I think, in that race. And he's currently 34th, all the way back 34th in the standings. Whoa. So Gutierrez has been up front plenty of times up this year, but just haven't had the finishes to show for it. Watch out. Whoa, watch out, Benny Watson. Lipsy nearly rammed into the back of the 79. I don't know. When these drivers taught, don't they know that coming out of pit road like that is really, really dangerous? We've never had this problem before in our practice sessions, so I don't know. It's, I guess, just because this and that's another thing I have yet to mention. This is the largest Firecracker 400 field to date. The previous record holder was 2022, which had 38 drivers, but now we have a full 40-car field for this year's edition, the summer's biggest race. And that could definitely play a factor, especially with how narrow Daytona is compared to our other super speedways. We race here in the channel, and that's gonna be another big question. How will the racing be? Will it be just like the previous years, or is it just three wide all over the place, almost close together, locked together? Or are we gonna see a bit more conservative racing this time around how narrow this track is compared to Armory Digital, and even compared to our newer super speedway on the channel, the Progressive Speedway. Which, by the way, if you're ever wanting to name one of my NR races, I'll probably post something on my YouTube community post. But if you want to name that race, I have no idea what to name it. So I'm letting y'all decide what to name that race. I'll put this. As I was saying, I was my mom coming over to check on me. But anyways, if you wanted to name one of my NR races, that was your opportunity is to name it for our second to last PSL race at Progressive Speedway. That'll be on August 5th, I believe is the day. It's early August. I know for sure that race is gonna happen. Who did an onboard shot in a while? Oh, Random J. And imagine this is probably the best pack to be in if you're a Random J right now. All three of his Baker Dynamic teammates are right here as well. Richardson, Forbes, and Rowe. Of course, Rowe in that backup car is trying to field it out as he's going to go 3 wide into turn number 3. Guess he's looking confident with that backup car for sure, as of right now at least. For San Vitali, didn't get that much damage in that rack, so. But he isn't. But they did switch cars out. And I'll probably have to adjust how the starting lineup's going to be now with these drivers wrecking out their cars. So that's going to be fun, especially since, yeah, there's still things I need to do to get this before I get this Firecracker 400 all set in stone. some other drivers I can talk about here. See, now this is a good way to... Now, see, this is what you do if you're coming out of pit road. Let people pass by you first, and then come onto the racetrack. Kyler Sustra, a great example there on how you actually merge back onto the track if you're coming out of pit road. So, kudos to Kyler Sustra for that. We've had several close calls with Al Bunch, and of course, with what happened, yeah, Al Bunch inadvertently caused the Ruiz and Jack Kosman, but thankfully that wasn't nearly as destructive as what happened with Forbes, San Vitale, and others. Now, of course, people say the motion that, oh, starting positions don't really matter at super speedways. I tend to disagree a little bit because, of course, if anyone's watched any NR Super Speedway race ever, you know, it's almost kind of like a shuffle, where, you know, these group of drivers, like every 10 laps or so, shuffle back up to the front. Or so, like, say for example, like, say these three drivers start up front for the race, right? And then they stay up there for a few laps, and then it gets shuffled out towards the back with everyone making moves and everything like that. But then maybe 10 laps later, these group of drivers come back up front when they shuffle back to the front. It sounds kind of weird, but I'm trying to think of a good, like, real life comparison to what typically the super speedway shuffles are. It's kind of like shuffling a deck of playing cards, right? Eventually, when you put a playing, like when you're playing a game of like playing cards, right? You pull one, and you put it into the bottom of the stack. Well, eventually, that card you put in the bottom of the stack is going to be back up towards the top again. So, it's all about timing. It's all about timing at our super speedway races. And especially if you can get like some cautions, or just simply time you move back up to the front perfectly, you're gonna have a good shot to win for sure. And thankfully, in like a modern day Talladega race, we're not gridlocked here. We're not gridlocked, even with this being a more narrow track. Oh, this pack is really forming here. Got all of the Baker Racing, Pontiacs / Baker Racing cars, since Baker Dynamics, I should say. Since Baker Dynamics is the only Pontiac team in the PSL this year. As well as a few Chevys. And about to pick up another Dodge, this being Torres in the 41. So we got 6 minutes remaining in this first Firecracker 400 practice session. Let's take a look at some of the leaderboard. I will, of course, go through all the results and post said results after the stream's conclusion. Staple coming down pit road. And you can see some of these packs are, there's actually several packs here, big and small. See, here's probably the biggest pack we've seen so far tonight. 3x3, almost reminiscent of how our races are here at Daytona. And it's probably going to be the closest, these drivers are going to get to one another in these style of packs, especially, I guess the closest these drivers, not only the closest these drivers are going to be are to one another, but also the closest to how our actual race is going to be as well. And even though I'd say it's not really worth running in this 3-wide pack, especially this way into this practice session, I mean, you have several drivers here towards the back of the points, like I mentioned Bradley Ream, right with Spurly is kind of up, it's kind of it's 18th, I mentioned. Not in the best place in points right now, and a good race for that 2018 would put him right back into the top 10. Caleb Rose trying to come off with DNF after winning in Japan, as well as several Firecracker rookies up in here. They're just trying to get as much data and experience with these cars as possible to not only make the proper adjustments, but just to see how their cars will behave in a pack such as this, where they're all 3x3 and this close to one another, constantly moving up and down the racetrack. Now, speaking of pack racing, of course, I will be at the Atlanta race for both Xfinity and Cup this week, so that should be fun. I'm not calling it Echo Park. That's really bizarre. It's why? Well, I know why. Money, but it's weird. No one's going to call it that. It's like Sears Tower. No one calls Sears Tower Willis Tower. And the few who do, why? So, no one's calling... it's going to be... To me, it will always be Atlanta, or even better yet, AMS, because it's kind of far away. The track is kind of far away from downtown Atlanta. Like, it's in the south of the entire metro area. Most of the metro area lives, like, northeast or northwest. Oh, like, northeast or northwest. Right? Like, the metro area is dominated by the north side of the stuff. The south side is not... The south side of the metro area, once you get past the airport especially, is a lot more... Not nearly as densely populated. That's all I'll say. And, yeah. If anyone's going to Atlanta Motor Speedway this week, we'll see y'all there. It's gonna be fun. I know, like, I've talked to a lot of people, some people I know, or even just some people I've talked to when I go to these races. Like, I was talking to someone when I was at Charlotte, that they wanted to go to Atlanta in the future, because I think it was because they want to go to Atlanta in the future. I'm seeing a lot of people now, but the point is, I'm seeing a lot of people put Atlanta, ever since the Super Speedway configuration, in their sort of like bucket list tracks of tracks I want to go to, which is something I think most people wouldn't have said if Atlanta was just reconfigured to a normal mile-and-a-half, or if it was left as, or especially what it was before the reconfiguration. So even I remember being kind of being kind of cautious about the reconfiguration, but it's worked out for sure. It has absolutely worked out for sure. You have, like I said, you have all these people outside of Georgia, outside the metro area, saying, I want to go to the Atlanta Motor Speedway as like a bucket list track, which is interesting. It really is. And of course, they're going to open off TNT's portion of this schedule. Amazon, for the record, did a fantastic job with the races. It's kind of a shame that we had 5 races, but, well, I'm not going to really see how TNT is going to do in the broadcast. I could DVR it, but it's going to be interesting. It's going to be an interesting week, also with the $1 Million Tournament stuff as well. Back to our race. Nothing much has changed on the top standings right now. Brad Vereen first, Richardson still second, Ryan Wilson third. I see him in pit road right now. He's wrapping up this practice session course. So, everyone trying to log into final laps. Whoa, Bergem, watch out. Watch out, y'all. Watch out, watch out. Okay, we're fine. Okay. I'm not a fan when cars get wrecked. That's all I'll say. Even in the video games. Even in the video games. I don't like when cars... I'm not one of those NASCAR fans who loses their mind when a car gets wrecked. I'm like, oh my god. Oh no. Especially if it's Ross or something. Or a driver I like. So, winding down this practice session here at the World Center of Racing. Drivers coming back on pit road. Oh, coming off of pit road, I should say. Just trying to log in some laps. Of course, Brad Vereen probably say, well, he's getting tires. He's gonna come back on track here soon. Is he coming back on track? Whatever. But barring a last-second miracle last lap. Looks like Brad Vereen is going to post the fastest time of the night with the only time above 47 seconds. Oh, that's not 40. No, yeah, the only time here that's not 47 seconds. Only time in the field, only driver in this field to post a time that quicker than 47 seconds, for 46.878. Very impressive running for the Railfan driver. And again, just proves they have plenty of speed. Speed isn't an issue for Bradley's 6 team. It's just, trying to finish the races. So, first practice for the 2025 Firecracker 400 is complete. Brad Vereen, I already mentioned several times, is the fastest driver. Keyshawn Richardson is going to be the second fastest driver for Baker Dynamics. So, a good run there. Ryan Wilson's going to be third fastest. I'll stay on Bradley. But yeah, there's Richardson second fastest. Ryan Wilson's third fastest. Jordan Stout fourth fastest. Matthew Burnett rounds off the rest of the top 5. So half the Pontiacs in the entire PSL field make up the top 5. So very solid effort there for the Baker Dynamics and Pontiac. Campbell Marsh making his first Firecracker starts is 6th fastest. Brendan Beal 7th. Alexander Rowe, I'm not sure if he did that in the backup car or the car he had before he wrecked it, will finish 8th. Johnny Hernandez 9th, while Jackson Bergem rounds off the rest of the top 10. Matthew Hubert 11th fastest, followed by Riley Spurly, Jack Haas, Daniel Voiles, Bibi Ruiz, Al Bunch, Jason Albert, Phil Torres, Random Jazz, as well as Pontiac, despite his other teammates being in the top 10, while Owen Miles rounds off the rest of the top 20. Patrick Miller 21st, followed by the 19 of Kyler Sestri, Joe T, Benny Watson, 2023 Firecracker winner Nick Sant, Haley Anderson, the winner from Ohio State at Minnesota, Kale Bergem, winner from Japan, Madison Chase in 28th, Brian Rodriguez 29th, while last year's Firecracker winner Julian Forbes is 30th. And as for 31st to 40th, Lipsy 31st, Alex Mullen, Alex Avatali, Colin Cropley, Anthony Hernandez, another poor showing for speed-wise when it comes to the Hernandez drivers. Where did Johnny got 9th, but Anthony got 35th. Anthony struggled with speed this year in general if you're getting back toward preseason Thunders. But anyways, Roberto Crown 36th, Dylan Matthews 37th, Matthew Hill 38th, Stapleton 39th, while Jose Angel Gutierrez will round off the rest of the field. So, of course, this was just our first of 2 practice sessions here for the summer's biggest race. Of course, tomorrow at 2 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time will be our second practice session, this time under the sunlight. And of course, because I'm going to the Atlanta race, we're gonna have a little bit of hiatus here in Firecracker Week, with us picking back up the pace on Monday with the live stream edition of the WeatherTech Duels. Tuesday, the following night, will be Fast 6 qualifying to set rows 1 to 3. And by the way, the duels will set rows 1 to 4. Oh, rows 4 to 20, I should say. Sorry. Fast 6 duels will set rows 4 to 20. Fast 6 will set rows 1 to 3. There we go. Took me a while. Took me a few attempts. But yeah. But the duels will be on Monday, June 30th at 8:45, while following night at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time will be the Fast 6. And finally, of course, on the 4th of July night at 7:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time will be our 6th running of the Firecracker 400. But as always, y'all, thank you guys for watching the stream. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Of course, I will post results for this on the Discord after the fact. But I'll see you guys tomorrow. I'll see you guys for tomorrow's practice session. And